All right, season 3, episode 6, scar tissue. So we start this episode with Tabitha or Tabby and Jim fighting, and I don't know, they're just they're just a broken couple. I feel like all of these issues that they have, like pretty much everything in this town, most of it can be resolved with just proper communication and extending like common courtesy to one another,
Mm-hmm.
like benefits of the doubt, or like, you know, I trust you as my partner or whatever. They're going back and forth at each other over like, the past and like the kid
Yeah.
dying and her being like, you weren't around enough, and he was like, you're this and that. I don't know, that kind of stuff. I felt like the fight felt very. It's one of those things where it's like, is it even about this anymore? Or are
Oh,
you guys
yeah.
just a broken couple?
Yeah.
Right? Like when relationships are at when they're at their worst, the smallest things will turn into the biggest fights, and you'll be
Mm.
like, are we really fighting about this, or is there something more going on here? But I don't know. It's not really noteworthy. I don't think much comes out of it.
Yeah, I mean they're stressed about
Right.
everything,
Right.
so that's why they're just bickering. I think that they probably needed like, to yell at each other a little bit just to kind of like let out some steam basically
Yeah.
because, on one hand Jim was, convinced that his wife might be dead and that he'd have to like raise his kids alone in this like hell place.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, like she, got out and had to come back. So, and is currently facing everybody sort of like blaming her for not doing enough. So
Mhm.
there's just a lot of tension and stress between them and in the situation in general.
I would think they would be pretty stressed being in this situation.
Yeah.
So it is revealed that the ambulance has a portable ultrasound.
Yes.
Do ambulances drive around with portable ultrasounds? You think?
Well, are ultrasounds only used for checking like pregnancy?
No.
So then probably they probably do have portable ultrasounds to see like if something is
Internal
like
bleeding.
lodged inside of you or something. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
It's lucky that they have it though.
I can text my buddy Mike. He's a EMT.
Mm.
He would be able to tell me. I didn't know if
Mm.
they carried those around or not. Um,
Apparently they do.
Apparently, but I mean,
According to this
for the
show,
show, I
they
mean, for the
do.
purposes of the show.
Yeah.
And what we get from that is there's a little bit of back and forth, and she doesn't want to do it. She ultimately does, and Christy reveals that she is not pregnant at all. So
Yeah.
now,
Fatima's not pregnant, which is, I mean, she's like, there's something inside of me. I need you to look somewhere else, or like, I need you to find it.
yeah.
So, but they're thinking baby. So they would not look anywhere else except for her uterus. Like,
Well, I had pointed out, and I'm not a doctor or anything, obviously, but I had said that there's atopic pregnancies that
mm,
occur in the fallopian tubes, which can actually kill you if not properly treated. They can even like, I think they can even like metastasize, because they had that one
oh,
woman
who was
who had
pregnant
been
for
like
like
pregnant
ever.
for like 40 years or something, and it was
Mm,
like it was in there. Um,
I know.
but I mean, is it possible it's there and or is she giving a false positive because she
Mm,
thinks she is? I mean, I don't think it's any of these things, right? I think she has
no.
something, but now if it's not growing in her womb, like, is it growing in her brain? Is
Her
it growing,
stomach?
and I mean, she's wanting to eat rotted crops.
Yeah.
She wants to eat blood. I think the thing inside of her is probably like a monster, like that maybe she's getting ultimately turned into, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. Um, yeah, she obviously like she opens up to oh my god, I forgot his name. Her boyfriend,
Ellis.
Ellis. Yeah, she opens up to him about the fact that she's eating, like has that craving. She doesn't admit that she wants blood
Seems like
because
a glaring omission.
I know it would be hard. Like, oh yeah, also like I fingered that lady's bullet wound.
Choice words.
I think that's what it is. She's like,
I mean, she is indeed fingering her hole.
yeah, that's what I said during that episode. So she leaves that out, which is kind of a big deal, but she also tells Boyd, well, rather Ellis tells Boyd, right? Oh no, they tell him together. Anyway, Boyd finds out as well. Yeah, they tell him together, and Boyd's like, it's. I love his face there because he's just like, Ellis is like, it's probably just like we don't know like what pregnancy in this place does, right? Like that's probably just a normal thing. And Ellis and Boyd's just like,
I
uh
mean,
huh,
Boyd's been around a pregnant
no,
woman. Right.
it's not normal,
It's not normal.
not normal.
No. Especially the
Um,
blood part,
yeah,
which she left out. I
yeah.
think if she would have said that, I don't think she'd be having Boyd or Ellis even pretending.
I really feel like whatever's happening with Fatima though this season, like with the baby and everything, like it is changing her and making her because like she started out in the show as like a really kind and gentle person, a very understanding and tolerant person.
Yeah.
And I feel like this season so far, she's just started to get darker and darker. Like the way she came at Tabitha, I felt like that was really out of character for her, very like aggressive, and the way that she's just acting around all the pregnancy stuff, like I think it's very out of character of her, and I think it just shows that she's being changed from within.
Yeah.
So
Well, we also have the picture that Elgin takes. Now we had
mm-hmm.
guessed, right, that he was going to take a picture. It was going to show something, and that it would probably be Fatima, which is exactly what happened. Now,
Sure
the way
is.
that we saw the picture is interesting because you could probably go down that road of like, see, told you it's her picture and it's that woman. But
Mm-hmm.
to be fair, in the picture, she's standing next to her. She isn't her.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that she might be taking over her body and she's the thing she's pregnant with?
Mm.
It's possible, I suppose. Like the twist reveal ending of Shudder,
Mm.
where you have the like being on the shoulders or whatever that you're carrying around with you, and like, is that entity following Fatima around and like slowly getting into her? Maybe. It is, of course, ironic that it is Fatima's picture that Elgin sees that woman, but she's like, you know, let me help you or whatever. I can get you out of this
Uh-huh.
town. So will he suspect Fatima specifically, or will he just think like, I'm seeing something? But this, of course, comes down once again to no one communicating because no one wants to be seen as, a target. Nobody wants
Yeah.
to like be thought of as the lunatic in an area where people are already on edge. And if you come to somebody and you're like, hey, I'm craving blood, they're probably going to kick you
Yeah.
out, right? And then if
Yeah.
like, I'm seeing monsters, I'm seeing dead kids, like you got Fatima, or I'm sorry, you got Elgin who's seeing this lady in a kimono. You've got Jade who's seeing dead people, the bartender and whatnot, and others just that are randomly dead from many different time
Mm-hmm.
periods. You've got Tabitha who's seeing people, kids, right?
Yeah, the
Dead
ghost
kids. You've
kids.
got Jim and Ethan taking phone calls from, so like they're not alone. And if
No.
people were to be able to communicate with one another, they could all come together and be like, hey, I'm seeing this. Oh, you're seeing that. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. Right.
Well, plus all the people that were in the coma in the last season,
They're not
they're
communicating
not
with each other.
communicating with each other or with everybody else. That like there's still stuff like happening to them. Like we find out, I think it was the last episode where Tabitha is smoking the weed, or not Tabitha,
Julie.
Julie smoking weed.
That's this episode.
Is that this? No, there's like when she first gets it with Ellis.
Sorry.
Well, she says like this is the only thing that makes the voices quiet,
Mm-hmm.
like because she just hears screaming in her head.
Yeah.
And then this episode she's smoking again as well, but like just there's stuff going on with, I'm forgetting everyone's name for some reason.
Okay.
The asshole
Randall.
Randall talks about it with the nurse
Mary.
Mary. So Randall and Mary are both kind of like they have a conversation about it, and Randall also talks to Julie about it too. So
Yeah.
they're like sort of starting to like open up about it, but it's gonna be like too little, too late. I'm sure.
Yeah. They definitely should be, comparing notes.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Speaking of the weed scene, I found that scene to be very bizarre. I think it's mostly like Kenny is like, I'm going to narc on you to your parents.
Yes. Yeah.
But he does kind of approach it like that's illegal and
I think
I'm a
it's
cop.
no. I think it's
That's the way
more.
it kind of came off to me for a minute. And I'm
Uh,
like, bro, in this place, who cares? I don't care
no.
at all, period, in any place. But like, are you serious? Like, what? You're going to arrest her?
I think it's more like just like I'm gonna tell your parents kind of a thing, and
Is Julie, how old is Julie? Is she not supposed to be 18?
she's. I don't think she's 18. I think
No?
she's like 17. Maybe she's 18 by now. She's late
If
teens.
I had a teenage daughter, in like, especially her later teens, and we got caught in a hell loop, she's allowed to smoke as much marijuana as she wants if
Okay,
it
well,
makes her
here's the
feel
thing.
better.
Here's the thing. This is the same thing with Jade, too, right? Like, there's a level of like, I'm going to recreationally drink and like use marijuana because I'm stressed and I need to like chill out because I'm in a horrible situation,
Yeah.
versus like, I'm going to over abuse these substances to like for escapism, which is what Jade's doing, even though he's still trying to like figure things out, but he's like drunk all the time. And now that, and now like that's the same thing, right? With the weed.
Well, he made a claim that he's going to sober up now, right? I mean,
Yeah,
or at least he was told to, so I can only assume
he
that
should.
he's going to drop the
He
booze to
should.
clear his mind.
Yeah.
Although I think Ethan will be the one who ultimately solves the puzzle.
I do too. I could even see Victor helping out, but I think ultimately Ethan will have some kind of like, oh, the numbers are this and this. Like Tabitha, there's the whole scene with Tabitha and Ethan at the house, and all the ghost children are like upstairs, and Tabitha's freaking out, and Ethan comes and is like, "What's wrong?" And so they go outside, and that's when they go to Jade's, and Jade and Tabitha kind of have an understanding with each other, and so he's letting Ethan help to, give Ethan a sense of purpose, which
Sure.
is important.
But I think,
But
it's ultimately
it
going to
is
be
going to
like,
lead to him figuring something out.
because if we remember correctly, or if I remember correctly here, in the first season, Ethan actually had some talent for puzzles.
Mm.
I'm almost positive
He's a really smart
that
kid.
he had like he was, I can't remember exactly what it was now, but I want to say he had like a knack
Mm.
for puzzle solving.
Well, one of the things, and this is why I think Victor's so important, is that I feel like the town operates on kind of almost like fairy tale logic to a
Mm.
degree. So I think that when you have the mind of a child and can look at it through that lens, I feel like you're able to make sense of things more.
Yeah.
So, because Ethan, I know, like in the very first episode, like he's telling like that story or whatever about the monsters. But I think, yeah, I definitely think he's going to figure something out. They do notice that on some, well, the other big revelation as far as the numbers go, before I say that, is that there's two bottle trees, right? So, and both bottle trees, one of them is the portal tree and one of them's not, but both of them have the same numbers in the glass bottles.
Yeah.
But on some of the numbers, the twos and the sevens are like backwards, which is something that Jade and Ethan noticed together. So that's interesting. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned when we were watching that you wish that they would like show us the numbers to like kind of get a visual. I agree, because without knowing like exactly, like without seeing the numbers, I find it's definitely hard to kind of imagine what they could be,
Right.
aside from dates or like quantities or something, which you had mentioned, like maybe it's the number of times people are going in and out of the trees or something,
I definitely don't think it's that. I mean, the only thing that I had thought maybe is that it was military time
Oh,
and
that's
that
right.
they
Yeah.
were, you know, putting the time in which they went through and they were color coordinating them as far as like, this is what was successful and this wasn't. A green bottle means they were successful, a brown bottle means they weren't.
Mm.
But I don't think that's probably going to be what it is. I think eventually Ethan will either like figure out something that we aren't going to be able to figure out, or they're going to find some kind of a cipher or talk to
Mm.
somebody who's going to give them the information. And
Hmm.
it's not going to be something that we're going to be able to like figure out that is
Yeah.
like stuff that we would think of.
Yeah, no, I don't
Right.
think it's set up to be like solved by the audience. Um,
It could be.
but
But
maybe, but it feels like it's not. It feels like, yeah, there's some missing bit of information
yeah.
that we would need to know that is going to come from elsewhere. Maybe from Jasper. I don't know. I really like the like relationship building that we're getting with Victor and his dad. I find it very like bittersweet
Yeah.
and sad.
I think when it comes to Victor, like what you were saying as far as the fairy tale logic goes, the only thing I will say is that I don't think it's so much of it. I think it is kind of what you're saying, but like for me, kids do better in that. And the reason Victor was able to survive and is the longest survivor of the place is because kids aren't grounded in any like
Like set rules of like
realism.
physics and
Right,
stuff.
like
Yeah.
they can be kind of fluid on
Well,
that.
yeah, that's what I
Right,
mean. Yeah.
their minds aren't made up
Hmm.
in the physical world. And so you really have to, you got to throw away all logic of what
Yeah.
you know. Right, and these guys, the older they are, the harder they struggle with that. It's like, because when Victor brings his dad in there and he's like showing him, now Victor's dad, to be honest, to be fair, he's been there for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right, as to where Boyd and them, when they're still being like, that's not possible. If I hear you say that's not possible one more time,
Yeah.
when you've lived there for years and nothing there is possible, that is the most annoying thing in the show to me. And I
Yeah.
get it, like you want to like hold on to some semblance of known reality because it's comforting.
Mm.
It's like the Matrix. We talk about this where they pull people out. They won't pull them out past a certain age because our brains just will like collapse into themselves if you try to take away our understanding of like foundational rules of our reality. So you have to have that kind of like childlike mindset of anything's possible.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, this doll's going to talk. And with him, he has precedence for this. It's not like he's just making this shit up. He saw that doll talk on its own, and he saw that it was telling a story that he wants to get it to make. Now we're going to get some kind of like Chucky type of situation here where
Mm.
that doll's going to start talking. I don't think he's going to have it talk in front of anyone but him and his dad, because
Mm.
I think the town would freak the fuck out if they saw it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, now, um, Kenny is moving to Colony House,
Yep.
and
Yeah, that kind of is. I mean, it makes sense. When he talks to Julie, he's like asking where the screwdriver from the junk drawer was. And she's like, "Oh, I think my dad moved it. Like, I'm sorry." Because in Kenny, like, it's something his mom had kept in
yeah,
there. So he's just kind of like, "This isn't my house anymore. Like, I'm gonna leave," which
right,
makes sense and is probably a good step for him to take as far as like closure goes. Um, and Dawn is, very welcoming and is like, "Of course, like we always have room for you there."
yeah.
So,
And Randall is moving into the hospital.
which is good. He needs to not have been in the bus.
I worry. I worry because you have Christy, who's injured. You have Mary, who is, a reformed drug addict, but is kind of like on edge and is isolated from a lot of people. I definitely worry because they are their two main doctors. And you have a very disgruntled man alone with them who could really hurt the town if he killed them, especially
Yeah.
if like and he's somebody like Mary, she they have the voices. He's already
Mhm.
been attacked. We don't know what really happens when you're attacked and survive a really bad mauling from one of them. Could you ultimately turn out like Fatima and start to turn?
Mm.
I don't know. We haven't seen anyone turn, but I definitely worry that Randall's ultimate fuck you revenge
would be to
could be
kill
taking
the.
out their only source of health care.
Yeah, I mean that would be awful. He's for sure like he's been like a loose, what is it?
Cannon.
Loose cannon the whole time of since his arrival. Um, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with him. He looks at his face in this episode as well, and I mean, he's gonna want to get back at Boyd for
Yep,
in some
of
way,
course.
and unfortunately, yeah, everybody like the monsters too. Like they seem to like know that the best way to get back at Boyd is to not hurt him, but to hurt people around him. So that would be a major blow to him, of course. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, also, last things here. Tabitha sees three of the kids. They're approaching her from all sides, so they clearly still want her to complete whatever task that they were on. Now, she went out, they pushed her out, she brought them back, but they're still not done with her.
Yeah.
So, she still has stuff to do, right?
Yeah.
It's not like she fulfilled any task that she was, maybe she fulfilled up to this point what they wanted, but there's more yet for her to do. So what they'll make her do, I don't know. I ultimately think she is going to lead people back to the lighthouse after Jade and Ethan figure out the bottle puzzle.
Yeah.
And then lastly here, she sees the drawings that Jade made of the like totems or whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's huge.
And she was talking like, wait, did they have like three big red rocks? And he was like, wait, how did you know that? And she's like, I used to dream about these rocks like every night as a kid. So this is huge new information, nothing like we've seen before. I think this kind of lines up a bit, if I remember correctly, with Victor's mother's storyline, where she had been having visions of this town for a long time before coming to it. So Tabitha is like the reiteration, the reincarnation of Victor's mom. That was drawn there.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm going off in my head about like
that's okay.
Is there reincarnation of dates, like where people were reborn and brought back to the town? I don't see why that would be.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it in my head. Wait, 18 something and then 19.
It's definitely interesting though that she is the second person that we know of that has like a connection to the town before.
They're both mothers.
Yeah, before they arrive.
And then Boyd's mother, Boyd's wife was a mother.
Yeah.
And she ended up killing herself.
Right.
Was Boyd's mother
Boyd's
there
wife.
to do that? Boyd's wife. Was Boyd's wife ultimately seeing the similar things, and that's what made her kill herself.
She just couldn't handle it.
And is it a mother? Maybe Fatima is like thinking she's going to be a mother, but it seems to be mothers that the kids are drawn to and want to get to ultimately end this place and free them.
Maybe, I don't know. One other thing that I'd want to mention just before we end is that when Victor and his dad are down in the tunnels and they get Jasper, there's like two of them down there, and the woman who I don't think is supposed to be his mom because she's like from like the 50s.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they're like, if you keep coming down here, Victor, like one of these days we're not going to let you leave.
Yeah.
So that's creepy.
Somebody had also posted a theory online that the reason that they come out at night is because night is the only time the door is open to leave.
Oh, that's an interesting theory. Like that the road is open.
Maybe
like they
that,
could
but
leave.
I feel like I thought when Jim and them came the first time, they tried to leave. And they circled back around, and it was later.
I thought so too. Well, I don't know if it was them, but I feel like somebody arrived at night.
But I'm not thinking
the ambulance arrived at night.
It did, but it never tried to leave again.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know if we've ever seen anyone try to drive out of town at night.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking more if that would be the case, I'm thinking more because if those times are those what we're talking about, 1870, it's 1870 something, isn't it?
I think. I
So
don't
that's not a
remember.
time then. It would have to be 50 something to
Yeah.
be a time, for military time.
Yeah.
But whatever. It's
Like those are the
possible when, okay, so do you remember, last thing here, do you remember what time Tabitha went through the
no.
tree? Was it day or night?
I feel like it was twilight, but I don't remember.
So if she went through at night, that could be the key. You have to
Maybe.
go through at night.
I really don't remember though. I feel like the sun was setting.
We need to go back and look,
Yeah.
because if that's the case, I would be pretty set on you have to go through at night, and that's why they're out there, is to prevent you from going through the tree
Mm,
at night. Like you can only escape at night, so they come out to protect the exits.
yeah, I don't know. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Something that would need to be tested.
Yeah. Well, uh
Yeah,
Dale tested it during the day.
it did not work.
Did not go so
No,
well.
it did not.
But Donna
Bricked him
covered him
in.
in. So
Yeah.
anyway. All right. That's that. Anything more?
That's everything, I think. I feel like we talked about it all.
All right,
Hopefully.
guys. We'll see you next Sunday. Let us know your thoughts and your theories and what we are getting completely wrong. And we'll see you in the comments. Adios.
Bye.